All right, so we are currently working on the camper. We're going to install the angles that go along the sides there, and once we get the angles in, we'll be able to start sealing up. I'm gonna go inside and show you guys the inside in a little bit. I missed getting a lot of footage for the plywood, but all the plywood's cut, that's sitting in place. We're gonna get that screwed down the rest of the way today, and then the only thing that'll be left is wrapping it up, getting it sealed, and moving forward. But while he's getting some of that metal cut so that we can get it welded and put in place, I'm going to work on the closet in the truck. So I've made this here in the truck. We just cut some 2x4s, braced it underneath across, did some of those pocket holes to make it look a little bit neater. I'll probably go ahead and eventually put some PVC pipes up here to hold the fishing poles. Then crash pads and outdoor gear will all go under here. And then we're gonna get a clothesline bar, that's what I'm calling it, and it'll go across the top here. And then Jax's bed will be on one side, and on the other side we can hang jackets and stuff and put boots underneath. So I'm gonna work on that. So it was recycled out of an old ice bath that I had, and so that was like a phone pocket on the outside of it, and you can see where I've put in some screws, and those screws are to help keep everything from rotating and spinning, so that way it stays locked on our clothes hangers. But this thing is very stout and supported in the middle, so it should hold, I would think, a couple 100 pounds. Well, at least 100 pounds, which is pretty neat because now we have a massive amount of storage underneath, and then we also have a hanger and a platform and everything up top. So getting rid of that seat really will make a difference. A little change of gears. The battery was left for a couple of days, and I think I've got some electrical issues, so we're trying to figure out what that is, and might dive in and check out some ground wires and stuff. But to start with, we're gonna hook this thing up to a battery charger and try to get it topped off again. Alright, so Lee's been working on all of this and getting this in, so we're going to weld this here. That'll put all of this in as one unit and tie that into everything that we have up in here. Just tie it all in. We'll put some anchors in for the tie down, so we're going to take anchors like that, except we're going to move them over into this, and we'll have those in two different places. That way when we're pulling down on the main outside of the frame, but we're also pulling down on this whole entire steel frame that he has welded together everywhere. So right now he's cutting a piece for this side, and we'll get it put on, and then hopefully be able to get it on and pull all this up and tighten it all up, screw it all together, and then we'll come back through, and once we get all the aluminum back on the front, we'll come through and we'll silicone all of this down through here and waterproof all of that. And me and LJ are gonna spend a day out here together waterproofing and redoing all of the windows and all of the sealing on the windows, and maybe get on the roof again and do some stuff like that. Alright guys, so outside we've got a hole drilled through that angle that goes up the side, and we're getting ready to put in a ground rod. So that ground rod, let's see if I can get that flash on. Oh, it's not going to let me turn the flash on, is it? Alright guys, so we're getting ready to put this ground rod in, and it's going to go up under here. And it's going to poke up right through there, and then that'll give us a place to ground all of our wires into. So Lee's on the outside right now getting that rod pushed up through, and I'm going to put the nut on from the inside. So let's... Yeah, that's it. Alright, you need to get this nut started on it?
Oh, that was my elbow. It's okay.
Now you're a half inch up.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do you want a little bit up just in case you ever got to add a ground?
I mean, go ahead. Go just a little. Hold up. All right, go a little bit farther.
All right, just tell me.
All right, that's it. That's a half inch. So we're putting this ground in on the sidebar that is coming across, because that's the ground that's hooked to a ground breaker in my breaker box, like a grounding bar. So I'm thinking that maybe the converter isn't charging my battery because the ground isn't properly fastened any longer. And all right, so now we got a ground down. So if we can get that ground, maybe it'll charge the battery. If not, I'm probably gonna have to replace the converter. Is what it is. I'm in here trying to get all this plywood down. I've got a few more screws to put in these self-taps in here. So there's like a little bit of a process so that we can get it to where it's flush. Nothing crazy. All right. Oh, did I bring the tap cons in? Yeah, they're right behind you. You hand those to me, LJ? All right, guys. So for getting this plywood down, the first thing we gotta do is make a little hole. Nothing crazy. We're going down about a 1/4 inch. And this is a pretty neat little drill bit. It gets wider as you go deeper, so I can just kind of go to like the second ring. And the reason that I'm doing that is because we're getting it down just a little bit, making sure that when I get this self-tap in there that we have a nice flush finish. But because that steel is hard, although this is a self-tap, I like to come in and do like a little bit of a pre-drill. And once you have that pre-drill, you just won't lose as many tap cons, because if you're trying to use that self-tap system every single time, you'll end up burning through these tap cons and not getting them all the way in. But if you do a little self-tap or a little self-drill first, they sink right in and you get a nice little flush finish. So yeah guys, that's pretty much the concept, and that's how we're going around just getting these installed. So stick around for a second and we'll get a few more of these in and we'll have the plywood all fastened down. Alright. Go here. Ooh, that was a little bit too deep. I think it's funny how I'm using 3 different types of drills, like name brands. Shit, broke it. I broke the head off of that one, guys. See, that's the thing, is every once in a while you'll snap them or something. But I'll put another one in right beside it and we'll try to get it fastened down. This 3/4 inch plywood is really stiff, and so if it's got a little bow in it or something and I'm not pressing down really hard right where I'm putting it down in, then the plywood won't go down. It'll grab and then it'll just snap that head right off. Alright guys, so we got the plywood fastened down everywhere. LJ's sticking up some insulation from the bottom. I'm going to take this old sock cabinet or whatever you want to call it and try to get it back in place like that one. So I saved it from when we demoed, and I think we can repaint it and stain it. All that stuff is just old and dead, but yeah, it'll give us some extra storage. Let's get that installed. Alright guys, so 7 o'clock, we're still at the shop. Little Jack's man's out here. So today Lee was able to get all of the welding complete on the camper, and I was able to finish screwing down a lot of the floors and just kind of help him. I actually was able to get a welder off of Lee and learn how to weld a little bit today using a wire welder, and he sold me one. So now going down the road, we've got a welder, we got portable tools, we're gonna have a generator, be able to charge everything. Like, I mean, not every situation will we be covered for, but most situations I think we'll be covered for. I want to be able to try and be as self-sufficient and independent as possible. But in a minute, we'll dive in here. We'll take a look at what Sheldon's doing, what Lee's doing, and maybe give you one last pass through and look at the camper today before we close out. Let's go take a look at the truck and see what they got going on. Alright, so Lee's in here digging on the manifold right now. One of the bolts on the manifold was like essentially welded in, so they've had to be digging in there. They were able to get all of them loose except for that one. I think he got the head broke off of it, and now he's just working on trying to get that manifold loose, and it is not wanting to come off. So Sheldon was just up in here cutting because we had to get these up pipes off, and he was literally cutting on the pipe up here, and then the bottom pipe was so loose from where it was leaking, it literally just fell out and hit the ground. Yeah. So the turbo sits right there, and then you have your up pipes that come up from the manifolds that go into the turbo, and Sheldon has taken the turbo off and has been getting those up pipes loose. This manifold is still on there, and Lee is still torching and prying and torching and prying and torching and prying. So hopefully it'll come off soon and we can put all the new stuff on. Hey Sheldon, what are we doing?
Shake it up. Working on a piece of shit.
Alright, so it's like almost 9 o'clock and we're still, well, mostly Lee and Sheldon. I guess I'm just kind of hanging out and handing them tools. Although I helped get the manifold off. That was cool. But anyways, all these nuts are pretty much just like the heads on them are gone. So he's lubed them up. We're gonna let them sit overnight. Try to get those off. Try to get that off. Try to get the manifold off. And we decided to put a new manifold on each side because of the leaking that's going on, because we're doing 2 new up pipes to the turbo. So it's gonna have 2 new manifolds and a full up pipe kit to a new turbo, and hopefully I will not have any issues out of that for a very long time afterwards. Alright, we're gonna clean up. Time to get out of here. Get ready to go. Thanks for joining, guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.